The Batoka Gorge Hydropower Project has moved from long discussion back into serious planning, and the signal is coming from the very top. After years of delay, Zambia and Zimbabwe have now each committed 220 million United States dollars in equity towards this particular project. That is not a headline gesture. It is a concrete financial decision meant to unlock a much larger 4.2 billion United States dollars investment and crowd in private capital, unlocking rigidities that President Hakainde Hichilema has been talking about.
You needed 25 months to get an approval to invest 20 megawatts. Now, if we're in a shortage situation, when are we going to cover the gap? So part of the reforms we're doing, my message to this forum, is that now you can get your approval on an assumption of presumptive approval. Presumptive approval. At least 48 hours, you get your approval. Now look at the difference, 25 months and 48 hours. If it's not happening, I want to hear participants in this forum to raise the flag so we can address that issue.
The contributions will include exploring equity partnerships to enhance the project's bankability. The Zambezi River Authority, joint venture between Zambia and Zimbabwe, that maintains the Kariba Dam complex and is also developing the 2,400 megawatts that lies near World Heritage Site Victoria Falls, as mentioned in a statement this week. Now, together, the two countries are putting 440 million United States dollars on the table to make Batoka bankable again. This matters a lot because Batoka is not a routine power project. It is a 2,400 megawatts hydropower scheme on the Zambezi River downstream of Victoria Falls, with 1,200 megawatts allocated to Zambia and 1,200 megawatts allocated to Zimbabwe. Once built, it would be one of the largest hydropower facilities on the continent and a major addition to Zambia's energy mix at a time when climate shocks have exposed the limits of over-reliance on Kariba. What has changed in this approach? Under President Hakainde Hichilema, Zambia has been clear that future infrastructure must be financed differently. Heavy sovereign borrowing is no longer the default. Projects must attract equity, share risk, and stand up to international scrutiny. Batoka is now being repositioned within that framework. Following a Council of Ministers meeting in late December 2025, a joint resource mobilization committee has been established to raise funding specifically for publicly owned dam infrastructure, okay, while private investors are being engaged for the power generation component. This is a deliberate public-private partnership model designed to protect public finances while still delivering strategic infrastructure. On the technical side, the project is firmly back in preparation mode. A global engineering firm has been contracted to update the feasibility study and environmental and social impact assessment. Now, these updates are not cosmetic. They are required to reflect current hydrology, climate risks, financing structures, and the strict environmental standards associated with the World Heritage Site downstream of Victoria Falls. This carefully sequencing is international. Zambia's energy ambition is not just about megawatts, that sort of language. It is about adding reliable power that can support mining expansion, industrial growth, agriculture, and regional power trading without creating new fiscal stress. Batoka also fits into our regional picture. Power shortages across Southern Africa have made cross-border generation and transmission more important than ever. A fully operational Batoka would strengthen the Southern African power pool, stabilize supply during drought periods like we just passed through, and reduce pressure on existing assets like Kariba. Diplomatically, momentum has been building. President Hakainde Hichilema's recent engagement with Zimbabwe's elevated bilateral cooperation and enhanced joint management of shared infrastructure on the Zambezi River. Cooperation was central to those discussions, even where it was to do in individual agreements. The project remains the pre-construction phase. Full financing is still assembled, or still being assembled. In other words, environmental approvals must be completed. Investor negotiations are ongoing. Construction timelines point to 2026 or 2027 if targets are met. Okay? But the direction is now clear. Batoka is no longer stalled by indecision. It is being rebuilt as a credible, financeable, and a regionally strategic power project aligned with Zambia's shift towards disciplined investment, open access, energy reforms, and of course long-term energy security. And so in other words, this is how Zambia is moving from managing power shortages to building surplus electricity or surplus capacity, not through shortcuts, but through structures, partnerships, and of course credibility.